That'd be interesting to understand that as college students, we don't really understand until it's too late what it means to develop a personal brand or a
Yeah.
personal standing for yourself or a network or to even approach these larger companies to begin with because we're all not even trying sometimes and sometimes emails can work, calls can work, cold calls can work. So can you like ponder upon some of the factors that contributed to your personal brand and given your branding experience at Red Bull, it would be interesting to know how you feel we can utilize ourselves to create our brand.
Wow.
Um, Mr. Rachit lost his connection briefly there, guys. We'll come back to that question in a while. Um can we move to Mr. Sagar if that's not a problem, sir? Always spoken about your story at campus and imagine to become the Sagar Daryani one day from St. Louis. So can you talk a little bit about how Momo began, what did you like college, how was St. Xavier's for you, and how that all contributed to making the multi-million dollar empire that you have right now.
No, definitely. I think what my school, I was in St. James's School and Xavier's College, and I think what it taught me was to multitask, because I think I had early morning college, and then I had got admission in Xavier's because of the social service quota. I was short by a few percentages. So I had to sign this bond with college. So I would actually stay in college for my first 2 years from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. So I was one of those lucky guys who had a lot of friends, amazing set of friends. And what college taught me was, because I was so actively involved with the National Service Scheme, NSS, it showed me the reality of life that, everything is not hunky-dory. There's a lot of struggle out there because, we would go for camps, we would stay in villages, we would try and adopt villages, build schools there. We've gone for so many camps and, we would do this, evening classes, the slum kids would come, play with them. So yeah, everything was not hunky dory for everyone, and I think that phase in Xavier's taught me to get more emotional, to value, to be more sensitive towards the hardships of people. At the same time, it also gave me some amazing set of friends, who've become friends for a lifetime, and it gave me my co-founder. It gave me a lot. I can't thank my alma mater more than enough, but above all, I'm someone who believes that a winner never quits and a quitter never wins. अगर जिंदगी में कुछ करना है तो आगे बढ़ना है, मुश्किलें आएंगी उनका सामना करना है, लड़ना है, but आगे बढ़ना है. You have to go out there and win. So yeah, I was in third year of college, honestly, and I'll be very candid here. I was coming out of a breakup. I was into, my mental health was not in the right position. I was into some kind of depression, and I don't feel shy saying it because I think as important is your physical health, that much important is your mental health. And I had some amazing friends, with whom I would do overnight studies, and when we would feel hungry, we would make sandwiches. We said, what next after college? So since childhood, I was always passionate about brands. I wanted to build brands. In my textbooks, I would have the logo of a Nike, and I had finished with my commitments of NSS. I was working in Red FM. I was interning at Red FM. And I think that, that flexibility of, early morning college and the entire day to work allowed me to build the brand Red FM while interning. This passion for actually building brands. And I was pathetic with maths and numbers. I somehow managed to get a 40% in my accountancy honors. And I knew that, in India, if you have to become an MBA, you have to go and bell the cat, right? And for that, maths is very important. And I was pathetic with numbers. So I knew I can never become an MBA, but I was very aspirational. I was overconfident, and that's how entrepreneurs are supposed to be. I said, if I can't become an MBA, let me go and hire MBAs. Let me get to the level where I can hire MBAs someday. So yeah, that will was there to go out there and pursue your passion of building a brand. And if you think of building a brand, what better than food? Because food is something that goes by the word of mouth. You like it, you go and tell your friends, they go and tell their friends. So I was in third year of college. Immediately after my college exam, before results were out, Wow Momo got going because what next after college? I am someone who believed that if I knew what I wanted to do, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and if you want to get into something, the sooner the better. Because I think the age, the age phase of 20 to 30, those 10 years are when you can actually slog it out. You can actually work for 20 I was not doing anything productive after my Red FM internship. So I think it gave us that break to go out there and start Wow Momo. I had limited capital, rupees 30,000. So how do you start a business with rupees 30,000? So in India, if you have to, build a startup, you have to know how to do jugaad, right? You have to know how to use your best possible resources in the best possible manner. So we did a shop in shop format. We did a 6 feet by 6 feet kiosk inside Spencer's in Calcutta. So in a shop in shop format, you don't have flooring, you don't have ceiling. You don't have to spend money in, buying a shop or renting a shop. It's a pure revenue share model. And I was grateful to Spencer's to, give me that opportunity. They were very wary of giving me that opportunity. They said, you're not a brand. How can we give you an opportunity? So they had Flurys beside them operating. I said, the brand Flurys began someday and it became a brand. You give me an opportunity, I'll create a brand. So I think they liked the confidence level. But it is not only about words. As an entrepreneur, you have to go out there and perform and prove yourself. You have to give in effort, and effort has a direct relationship to reward. So yeah, Binod and me got going. I think we were the only ones amongst my batch of other friends, because everyone else went to pursue MBA, went to pursue a CA or a CS. We were the only guys who knew that we have no hope and scope in becoming a CA or an MBA. So let's try our hands on entrepreneurship. And we got going. We set up a first kiosk. I remember in those days, from my home in Jadavpur to get to my first outlet in Spencer's in Tollygunge, we would have to take 2 auto rickshaws. So the momos would be heavy, right? We would carry them in jhola bags. While coming back at night, Binod and me would wear the Wow Momo t-shirt. We would serve every customer. I would take a tray and walk up to every customer, cut one momo into 3 parts, and do a lot of sampling, because I believed in my product. I never had money to print leaflets, but I knew कि कोई एक बार हमारा momo खाएगा, they'll become ours forever. While coming back at night, because the momos would be sold out and the bags would be empty, we would walk one way to save 10 rupees of auto fare per person. So, that's when we realized that in business, 1 rupee saved is like 5 rupees earned. And I think that passion lives on with the way the business has grown, and that passion has been transmitted. And I think that is what made us a profitable, homegrown quick service restaurant chain, the only profitable homegrown quick service restaurant chain in India, competing with brands like Domino's, KFC, Burger King, McDonald's from abroad. And the kind of footprint that we have now with 350 plus stores across 16 cities and a team of 3,000 people, I think it's, for me, the life since then in the last 10 years has been a blockbuster, a Bollywood blockbuster. I think we've been living our dreams. As an entrepreneur, you want your dreams to be so big that, they don't allow you to sleep. So, I've had nights where I've had major challenges. I have had nights where I've given up. I have slept crying, or I have not been able to sleep because of being nervous, being scared. I have had nights where I've been so happy that I've not been able to sleep. So basically, I've not slept. And I think that's what as an entrepreneur, your dreams or your vision should be, that it allows you to keep going. It allows you to going out there and delivering and wowing people, wowing your consumers. And yeah, it's all about problem solving. I mean, what we did no rocket science. I mean, we did simple things with style. I mean, Momo was a product known to people. It was unorganized. We gave it a look and feel. We gave it a color. We built a brand out of it. We innovated. Innovation was the biggest key. I mean, right from steam momos to pan-fried momos to chocolate momos to a momo burger to sizzler momos to tandoori momos. I mean, who would have ever thought that you can create so many variants of momos? But it's all simple, right? And right from the packaging that we have to the look and feel of our stores, to the t-shirt that the staff wears at the stores, to the way the staff serves with a smile. I think everything that you do creates an impression in the mind of the consumer. And I think that's what we were able to do successfully. Like I said, simple thing with style. It was all about the ideation on implementation. See, we all can have ideas. Ultimately, it all boils down to how do you implement those ideas? How do you build a team? Because you cannot build a brand by yourself. You have to build a team to build a brand. And I think we've been fortunate enough. We've been able to share wealth to make wealth. I think we have an amazing ESOP pool in the company. My chef who joined me at a 3K part-time salary, he would come early in the morning and make momos. Today, he draws a 5-figure salary. His daughter goes to the best English medium school. He comes in a 4-wheeler. And he cannot speak English himself. So, when you grow as a company, as an organization, it's not only about you transforming, it's about people growing with you. And that's how you share wealth to make wealth. And I think that's very important, and that's what builds brands. And I think what Xavier's has taught me is to share, to care, to value, and to work hard and to multitask. 6 in the morning college, you have the whole day to yourself. It taught me the value of time. It taught me the value of, and the importance of productivity, how well you can utilize your time. And I mean, my message to the youngsters out there who are joining the new batch is that, it's all about believing in yourself. I mean, today when I started Wow Momo, many of my friends, my relatives said, "Yeah, tu momo bechega, you'll be a momo wala." But today I am a momo wala. In this country, if a chai wala can become a prime minister, imagine what a momo wala can become. And let's wait for time to tell us that.
Very, very true. I mean, there was so much that you mentioned there, such a beautiful journey out there. And one line that will stay with me forever, I think, is winners never quit and quitters never win. So thank you so much, Mr. Sagar, for that. That was indeed a pleasure to hear. Mr. Rachit is here with us again, so if we may move again back to that question. Mr. Sagar, again, as an entrepreneur, talks so much about how personal brand matters. And when we look at Red Bull in and of itself, the positioning, the branding, I could go on, and I wouldn't do justice to it, but you would. Can you throw some light as to, how to create a personal brand while still in college, and how to aspire to, position yourself in a way that is attractive, if I may call it that?
Okay, so I would say the most crucial elements while you're in college have mostly been covered by me, which is, you work hard every day and you value every second which you have, try to be a better version of yourself. But in general, when you talk about personal branding, it becomes the most important once you cross over to work life. Whether it's an internship, whether it's actually joining your first job, you need to aspire from day one what you will be in the future. Like, what is your next jump going to be? And it's only when you have that focus, it's only when you identify that passion that you can chase that dream. And that's what happened for me. Again, I spoke about opportunity. They come seldom, but you have to seize them. When there was an opening for a regional marketing manager, which is for the Eastern region. I was the only one who was in the marketing department capable of having that role. So there was no other option. So I had to seize that opportunity. So yeah, opportunities, number one, you have to grab them when they come, and really identify what is that fire within you, because only then can you work towards getting that better and better every day. And then who knows, you can end up being an influencer. When we consider TikTok, when we consider Instagram, there are a lot of people who became influencers overnight, right? So that is a form of personal branding you're seeing every day today with the help of technology. Because the barrier between these people and their skills and consumers who want to see it is literally nothing now. There are people who have millions of followers on TikTok. It's because they seized that skill, they seized their passion, they worked towards it, they did silly stuff in front of a camera. But then it all worked towards who they are now. They're earning lakhs of rupees just endorsing products. So yeah, that's how personal branding would work, I would say.
Great, wonderful to hear that, sir. Just a follow-up on that is that, typically when you're in college, you're not very clear as to the pathways that exist. We look at traditional pathways. So when we consider finance, it's only trading or analysis or the JP Morgans. When we look at marketing, it's again very traditional as to what the job entails in terms of agencies, ad agencies, and creative stuff. So can you throw some light as to, the kind of opportunities that exist in the marketing spectrum and how big that array of opportunity is when it comes to marketing as a whole?
Okay, see, the thing is, the definition of marketing has kind of changed now.
Right.
Because the marketing department is a very integral part of every company now. Whether you have a product or a service, you have to market the shit out of it to actually get it across to people. So whether you consider a startup, whether you consider, say, Wow Momo, they need to market themselves, and that's how, he told us how beautifully he did it. But that opportunity for marketing exists everywhere. I chose it with an FMCG brand, but an FMCG brand which was very cutthroat and wanting to make a difference in India. But opportunities from people who want to be marketers in the future are everywhere. They might not necessarily be defined as marketer in a company, but you might end up doing that. But yeah, I would say identify what interests you. If you know that you're going to Xavier's so that you can go to college at 6 and then become a CA after that by studying, do that. If you think you're not cut out for that, then work towards something else. If management interests you, go for management. If marketing interests you, go for marketing. And I think what's important to point out here is people look down upon agencies sometimes, but some of the best jobs you get are at agencies right now, and some of the best experience you can get is at an agency level. So don't always chase, okay, I need to get into this big brand, big company. Like start small, start in an agency, work your way up, because hard work will take you everywhere. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Wonderful to hear that. So basically, identify what you need and then try your way in instead of making assumptions and not even giving it a shot. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Rajit. I'll now be moving on to our next speaker, Mr. Raghav Beriwal. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Mr. Raghav, you scaled up Sharm Scale and you're a pivotal part of the innovation at the company. Can you walk us through some of your experiences at your time in college and how they contributed to your business success and giving you the traits that equip you to make sure that you could bring innovation into what maybe traditionally looked at as family business?
Hi. So, I came from a very privileged background. I was a stupid, privileged kid who got what he wanted without even asking. So when I came to St. Xavier's, there was a sense of discipline that the college instilled upon you. So, be it waking up really early in the morning or reaching college on time, attending classes, struggling struggling to get past that 75% attendance mark. And, things actually ground you. So I think St. Xavier's had a very grounding effect on me. I had a lovely time in St. Xavier's. Apart from the first term, obviously, because I was not used to that whole atmosphere. And I would like to really thank Father Principal for that. I remember getting scolded by him at the front gate every morning for being 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, for running into class, for not wearing the proper shoes, wearing slippers and coming to class as if it's your own personal bathroom. So obviously that brings a very grounding effect on you. So when I came into college, I feel college had a very maturing effect on me, and then you meet a lot of new friends, friends from very different backgrounds. You meet professors who give you good ideas. For example, I would really like to thank Trideep sir for giving me the idea of going for a brand ambassador. Earlier, we were a run-of-the-mill steel company, iron and steel company. So steel TMT is a very seasonal product. So in the months of from the months of April, you start seeing your decline in demand, especially when the monsoon hits in mid-May. That's when you struggle to sell your material. So there's this idea, I had conducted an industrial visit for students from St. Xavier's to our factory, thanks to Pradeep sir. So he gave me an idea, why don't you brand yourself? Why don't you sell yourself as an FMCG company? So instead of selling ourselves as an FMCG company, we started selling our product as an FMCG product. So steel is a capital product. You buy it only when you're building bridges, houses, buildings, dams. You don't buy steel every day. A normal person does not go and purchase steel. So that's when we brought in Virat Kohli in 2016, and then Anushka, his wife, in 2018, and it's been quite a good journey from there. So when we started off the retail sector earlier, we were predominantly into institutional sale, more towards the government sector. So when we started our retail sector, we faced a lot of issues with workforce, with payments, with getting new dealers on board. So that's when I started an IT company as a starter, and we started developing custom softwares, starting with our own company. Coming from a company where you have 500 odd people working in your HO, and 200 odd people working from your branches and over 6,000 people in your factories, it's very hard to control your workforce. Not more to control, but to get the right productivity from them. So we started using different tools, AI tools. We started using IoT to control our manufacturing process to get better production at a lower cost. So things have been working pretty well, and hopefully we can grow much better. Obviously, when you join a family business with so many heads already there, my grandfather established the business in 1953. Being a third generation entrepreneur, you face a lot of difficulties because you know there's this saying that the first generation starts the business, the second generation builds it to the top, and the third generation takes it down. So when I joined, and I promised myself that I will not be a part of that example. So I started off at the bottom, working my way up. I started off by going to the factories, जो काटा कराते हैं, TMT का काटा कराते हैं, वहाँ से शुरू करके चलान बनाने से लेके then I went to my after 6 months of that I went to my accounts department and I worked my ass off, and then I moved into marketing. So you need to know all the areas of the business. You need to know where everything is happening. You might not be skilled at everything, but you should have an idea of how to do things. So another grounding effect that I had in my life was so my grandfather he came up to me and he asked me what do you intend to do with your life. I was pretty clueless. I just joined my family business, so I told him I don't know. So he said, think about this way, that you are responsible for the livelihood of 500 people in your head office, 200 plus people in your branch offices, and over 6,000 daily wage laborers in your factories. So think about that. So I was quite overwhelmed. I mean, every decision you take affects lives of people around you. Obviously, and he involved me in a lot of CSR activities. So the government of India came up with this process of investing 2% of your gross profit for CSR. But traditionally, we've been investing 10% of our gross profit since our inception. So we built schools, we built hospitals, we built houses. So my grandfather involved me in that process. So that's where things you do matter in life. I mean, you can touch anyone's life, and it's not about their gratuity. It's more about doing what is right. So I hope we can just go ahead and get a lot of new people on board, get into different sectors, change a lot of things. So let's see. We hope for the good of the country. Let's see.
Wow, that is really incredible to hear, sir. Thank you so much for walking us through that. That shows so much about the intent, the attitude, the want to do good. Interestingly enough, sir, one question that we see all around us in all batches is that there's so many people who come from business backgrounds, but to have that mindset of not just consolidating your business, but to innovate as well, as you did in your case. How do you inculcate that mindset and not just want to do that, but implement it as well in your case, as you did so successfully and continue doing so?
See, when you are a third generation entrepreneur and you join a business, there are so many heads already there in your company.
Right.
So the arrogance that comes with youth, you think you know everything. You feel you could do a certain thing better. So that's where you get you really get a bell in your life that you need to lower your arrogance. You need to learn. So when I started from the bottom, obviously things were working well. But when I reached a point where I wanted to make certain changes in my company. Obviously, with the old people, the old guard there, they do not like changes. So it's always good to start small, take a small project, do it successfully, and then you prove yourself, and that's where you gain confidence. Be it with your parents, with your employees, with your juniors. So once you build that confidence, I think then you can go ahead. For example, when we started a retail business, as I said, we were facing a lot of issues with payments, with reach into very small villages, small towns, with workforce. Sitting in Calcutta, you cannot control people in UP. You cannot ask them to increase their productivity. So you need a certain technological enhancement to execute your ideas. Now, see, everyone shouts about digitalization, but you need to do it right. You need to know the process well, and you need to know what is good for the business. So you need to be very rational about it. So I feel technology has a lot of a big role to play in terms of innovation, but you need to do it right. You need to do it in the correct way.
Absolutely. So start small, give it a shot, and do it right. That will get you from that. There's one final question for Mr. Sagar, and after that, if Mr. Anand is not being able to join us, we'll move to the rapid fire, which after which we'll end the session. If I may go on to Mr. Sagar and talk about, there's this ingrained mentality of how we see the top entrepreneurs of the country coming from IITs, from technical backgrounds, and so on and so forth. We could go on about the list. So there's a traditional mindset per se. How do we change that mindset? And since you're a prime example of setting up a multi-million dollar startup at such a young age, can you give us some cues as to how you can go along your way, irrespective of the background you come from?
Yeah, like I said, you need to have that belief in yourself. You need to be a trendsetter, right? I think everyone wants to follow the herd. It's about being different. Like I said, it's about doing simple things with style. So you need to be that trendsetter. You need to be that one person who believes that A can be done and go out there and achieve that A in a particular manner. Like I said, it's everyone has an idea, but ultimately it boils down to the ideation. And like I keep saying, earlier people would say that there's no action happening in Calcutta. Now I'm a proud Calcutta boy. I can proudly say that we are Calcutta's national brand, and we aspire to become India's global brand. So coming from Calcutta today, when I travel, I'm sure when Raghav travels, when Rachit travels, we are all from Calcutta. We've done our schooling here, we've done our college here. I talk highly of Calcutta. I think it's the food capital of the country. It's one of the best places to start your business. I'm glad that my head office is here. So it's about going out there and becoming a endorser for what you believe in, right? And I think see, mindsets are there, but mindsets are meant to be changed. And when you take it on yourself to change a particular mindset, it gives you that extra zeal, that extra ooze to go out there and prove yourself that you can make that difference and prove it to others that you can be that game changer. So I think any kind of mindset, so any kind of negativity has always given me positivity. It's given me that thumbs up to go out there and prove that other person wrong. It becomes like an extra zeal. So I think mindsets are created by us, and like we say, be the change you want to see. So if you want to really change that mindset, go out there, perform, deliver, and prove yourself.
Absolutely. Take the negative comment and use it as a challenge and prove them wrong, basically. And you've successfully done that.
In life, whenever anyone has said anything negative, I think I've been able to convert that to a zeal to take it to that positivity and go out there and deliver and express myself or express my frustration by performing. And I think that's what I want to tell all young guys out here, that we fail to express ourselves the right manner. And we keep introspecting and implementing as to how to go out there and do it. But the best way, numbers talk, right? Today, if you're playing a sport, there are no retakes, right? At the same time, when you perform, today, you might just go out there and sledge or might get frustrated, but ultimately your work has to talk. If you're a good batsman, your bat has to talk. If you're a good bowler, the way you play has to talk, right? So I think performance, this world is your stage. Go out there, perform, deliver, and if you need to shut someone up, do it with your actions rather than with your words. Why waste time of words,
So true. So true. I mean, each word coming out is almost an inspiration in itself, and I truly mean that. Thank you so much, sir, for that. I think there is still an evident connection error with Mr. Anand. So what we'll do is we'll go on to the rapid fire, which is a 5-10 minute thing about St. Xavier's, which can give our audience a brief about how the memories were and what the response was, and we'll conclude after that. So thank you so much to all individual speakers. I'll move on to the rapid fire. I'll be asking one question each, and I can expect answers from everybody one at a time. So the first being, what was your favorite memory at St. Xavier's? If I can start with Mr. Raghav or Mr. Sagar. Yeah, anyone.
My favorite memory at Xavier's was, I remember I had to bunk classes. So in our classroom, we would have two gates, one in front and one at the side. And I took my bag and I stepped out. And as I stepped out, I saw Father Felix in front of me. And he was like, "Where are you off to?" I said, "The washroom." And he said, "With your bags." And I was like stumped. And then I had to go to his office and wait outside for him to excuse me. And, I had to apologize. But that's one vivid memory that I have, which remains with me forever.
Wow. Some of us definitely have that, and although the pressure batch cannot yet, I'm sure they're going to see a lot of it later. If we can get an answer from Mr. Rachit.
I think for me it would have to be bunking the IT practical period for 1 year because I had cricket practice every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and I basically got valid permission to go to cricket practice and not attend IT practicals for a year. So that will always be my favorite memory, apart from me getting a job before college got over. So yeah, that was fun.
Wow.
And who gave you that permission, Father Felix or Father Dominic?
I think Father Dominic gave it, but yeah, I was still playing cricket. I was not bunking.
Okay. No, we know that. We know that.
Trying to make the college proud in other departments.
We struggle very hard to get attendance, even if you were representing events and you told don't go to events. And there was a bit stringent at the time, but still got a lot of liberty to express ourselves. So thanks for that, Rachit sir. Moving on to Mr. Raghav, you can have your favorite memory.
I think my favorite memory is the green benches. I mean, we've done so much there. We've fought, we've loved, we've stuck up friendships, bunked classes, we've fought for elections. So I think my favorite memory is the green benches.
Wow, that was beautiful to hear. Xavier's in one word by each of you. Mr. Sagar?
I think it's a creator. It creates the feeling of it creates the feeling of going out there and doing something. It creates the feeling of friendship. It creates love. It creates aspirations. It's been a creator, and it's creating amazing role models for all of us to go out there and follow.
That is still beautifully put. Mr. Rachit?
So I'll take your permission and describe Xaverians in one word rather than Xavier's. I would say multi-dimensional because Xaverians are all-rounders and they kill it wherever they go. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Wonderful to hear that. Mr. Raghav?
I think I can't just constrict Xavier's to a single word. It means so much to me: nostalgia, friendship, camaraderie, lesson in life, discipline. So I just can't restrict it to a single thing. I'm sorry.
Excuse me for interrupting. Rachit, are you promoting Red Bull on Hear Me today?
Sir, I promote Red Bull wherever I go. I'm walking talking can of Red Bull.
But we are missing the drink of Red Bull, We are not on campus in St. Xavier's where your guys will distribute Red Bull.
Next time, sir. Next time. Don't worry.
I remember on a particular event, the last session, got cancelled because guys were offering Red Bull on the St. Xavier's ground and the entire audience walked off without listening to the speakers.
Very sorry for that.
But guys, they get pretty girls with Red Bull backpacks.
Exactly, Raghav. You're right.
But so true, that just goes to make my love for the institution even expand further, because we heard creator, we heard multi-dimensional, and we heard comradely, we heard so much more. from Raghav sir as well. If I mean, may take the liberty, for me, it's the motto of the institution, which is Nil Ultra, nothing beyond, because I think that stands out in terms of everything, and that speaks so much volumes of what it is.
Mr. Moderator, can I have one round of questions for these young minds, out of your rapid fire?
It is always yours, sir.
Yeah, I'll start with Sagar. Sagar, you have made the Momo into a very Indian food product. It used to be Tibetan and Darjeeling and stuff like that. But actually, what made you branch out for this Wow Chinese? Because there are a lot of Chinese food, big restaurants, small ones. So what made you go for that?
Nice question. So I think we didn't crack the Momo business in India. We cracked the art of being able to do a QSR business in India, the quick service restaurant business in India, where we can do maximum throughput sales from small locations, maintain SOPs, and build a brand. And then what next? So when you want to enhance your portfolio, we said if you're into momos, and why can't we spread it to Chinese? Because right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from north to south, in North India, after North Indian, you prefer Chinese. In South India, after South Indian food, you prefer Chinese. So although Chinese is number 2 in kind of preference, is number 1 in consensus. It's got a huge market, especially the Desi Chinese, the Indian Chinese. But if you look at it, nationally, there is no Chinese QSR brand. You have a Burkos in Delhi, you have a Beating Bites in Bangalore, you have local brands, but you don't have a national quick service restaurant Chinese chain. So we said, if we can do it with momos, why can't we do it with Chinese, with the Dixie Chinese, I'm talking about Chinese that you would get in your college canteen, in your school canteen, jo tawa mein noodles ko maar ke, garam hakka noodles with chili chicken. I think in our college you would get chili chicken and kachori also. The puris and chili chicken was very famous, one of my favorites. So I think it was all about branding Chinese food, giving it a standard operating procedure, making it consistent, and obviously making it wow and serving it across the country and building a brand and capturing that entire market which has been kept vacant. So when we started Wow Momo, there was no one doing organized momos,
exactly, that was my point. Yes.
Yeah, so if you think of pizza, it's Domino's, but if you think of momos, you had no brand. We gave it a look and a feel, a color, and we made it into a brand. So if you think of Chinese and fast food Chinese, you can't think of a brand. You can think of mainland China in fine dine, casual dine, but you can't think of a fast food Chinese brand operating nationally.
Sure,
however, if you want to go global, if you look at globally, you have Walk to Walk, you have Panda Express, and हमारी Chinese को कौन beat कर सकता है? So I said, let me take Desi Chinese global someday.
Excellent.
And with that aspiration for about China.
Excellent. Sagar is tackling the Chinese food in the American niche marketing way. Excellent.
Thank you.
One question for Mr. Raghav Veriwal. Once you had said, when I had asked you in class, why did you switch from Soumitra Chatterjee as your brand ambassador to a bigger one? And you said about your local flavor of being the Bengal steel brand, you told us. But why did you add, after that Virat Kohli one, which we had a talk about few years back, and why did you have to add Mrs. Kohli to the campaign?
Actually, we were going towards a more homely feeling for our branding, for our next branding set. So we'd come up with 5 or 6 of very good scripts, and it required someone opposite him, and who better to do it than Anushka Sharma.
Okay, so you thought the pairing was fantastic. Yeah. Good, and that will give you a national face along with Virat. Fine. And one question for Mr. Rachit Mehta.
Yes, sir.
Rachit, I often visit these drug stores, but I have seen that they have small, refrigerator kind of boxes cooling Red Bull. Was it your idea or somebody else's? Taking Red Bull as a medicine in drug stores? Probably you gulp down pills with Red Bull.
No, you don't put down pills with Red Bull. There's nothing like that. Red Bull has just become a household name, sir, now. Slowly but surely, that's been happening. And whenever you go to good pharmacies today, you get other products like chocolates, the stuff you require at home. So our idea behind Red Bull at pharmacies was exactly the same thing. If you want to make it a household name, you need to be at places like pharmacies where people go for everything. And obviously for their health as well. And if you look at sports drinks, if you look at energy drinks, then if you want to go to a pharmacy, it should be there.
Pradeep sir, Ratit's team Rachit's team paid my team to so that I can showcase this also.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's great. Over to you, Divraj.
Thank you so much, sir. That was again very, very insightful from sir. Sir has been the pillar of support for us throughout this journey as well, and he's always very enthusiastic. Thank you so much for that, sir. One last question in the rapid fire to all of the panelists, and it's been great. But so we have the same class and the same guys around us, and we have to wake up at 6 o'clock. So if you had to describe your classroom experience, how would you do that in one sentence, Mr. Sagar?
I didn't get your question. Sorry, your voice.
Sorry. Basically, I'm on the fact that since we had the same roll numbers, same bench rates, same classes, and 6 o'clock routine, how was that experience in the classroom itself for the 1 year, 3 years?
My roll number was 121, room 16, room 32, and remained that. So I remember that, and I think it was amazing. Yeah, it was good to make some amazing friends, friends for a lifetime. Whether you talk about benches in your college, or you talk about the green benches, or you talk about being outside the lights, or you talk about the college ID card. I remember before I started Wow Momo, after my final year exams, I actually went all the way to Bombay, and I wanted to open a confectionery chain before getting into momos, and this is a secret. And I used my college ID card to enter into every bakery shop and get the sale numbers and get insights. And because it was St. Xavier's, and because it was a valid ID card, they gave me all the information. So I was not lying, I was camouflaging as a businessman, you don't lie. But honestly speaking, we've used that college ID card in way number of times. While riding a bike, if a cop catches you, says Xavier's ka student to chhod do, so that number and ID card really meant a lot. I still have my college ID card, it's still there in my cupboard drawer, and I really cherish it and value it.
That is very, very true, and great how the smaller things matter as well, and that truly makes the difference overall. So great story there. Mr. Rachit, if you can tell us your answer.
Yeah, I would completely agree with Sagar, and being a Xaverian is a privilege, and you live that privilege every day if you're living in Calcutta. So carry that along. Always realize the importance of that. That would be my message to all the kids out here, because it really goes a long way in building your own personal brand, like you kept asking. So that's obviously one thing, but college life for me would be, I think as soon as I stepped out of class, that would be where the interesting part started, because it was all the extracurriculars which I was involved in, which I used to look forward to the most, and that made me meet a lot of people, in college as well, beyond the BCom morning batch. It allowed me to stay in college the entire day, which was great. I would say the extracurriculars is what actually make the Xaverian. Otherwise, the morning classes are like an extension of school. You have to really painfully wake up at 5 a.m. every day, and like an army cadet, get to college. So,
early in the morning in winters, you would see sunrise happening at 6:40 from your classroom. And when you go to when you're on the way to your college, it's so cold in winters. The dogs in the street are also sleeping, and you are like, "Yaar, hamari halat to kutte se bhi badtar hai." But trust me, it's a privilege to be a part of an organization. I mean, forget about waking up. I would rather not sleep, but be a part of such an amazing institution.
Moreover, it builds character, I think.
Absolutely, Raghav. Yeah.
Could I ask Jivraj to repeat my USP for Xaverians, which Rachit Mehta and Raghav and all have heard? My USP being a Xaverian is a
privilege.
No, sacrifice, which includes eating, drinking, sleeping, and sometimes toileting as well.
and sometimes pre-pass from Pradeep sir to get off class.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I feel being a Xaverian is like a part of your identity. So to all the new students, to all the freshers, I would just recommend not to bicker about it. Man up, woman up. Women are nowhere behind. Especially to morning guys, I would just like to tell you, you are very excited to be a part of the evening batch. but trust me, they are more intelligent than you, they are smarter than you, they are more hardworking. So it's better पढ़ाई में ध्यान लगाओ, कॉलेज में प्रोफेसर्स का बात सुनो. And I'll just give you guys a tidbit. For your first couple of years of college, the professors will be very strict, but from the third year, you start to develop a friendship with them. So cherish that. I mean, you love it as a memory in your life.
Very, very true. I mean, that's making me almost nostalgic and missing college, although I was just there 6 months back, and I can't imagine what it is for the three of you. But that has been such a pleasure to hear, and I would like to thank you all from a great honor for being a part of this panel. If I may conclude by asking all of you, Mr. Raghav gave us a very good conclusion, but if you had to leave the audience with one message, we've heard so much, but if we can have like one last message from the three of you, that would be incredible. So if you can add just how to conclude, then Mr. Rajit and then Mr. Raghav.
I think it's a new beginning for all of you. New beginning. Make the most of it and go and create your own history. Go and rewrite stories. Believe in yourself. Don't go by notions. Create your own trends. And I mean, you're blessed and you're privileged to be a part of an amazing institution like St. Xavier's. Value it. Show gratitude, and go out there and try and lead a life where you can inspire others to live a better life. I mean, getting into Xavier itself feels like living a life as good as a king because you're privileged.
Absolutely. Yeah, Mr. Rajit.
Yeah, I would first start off with saying 3 words. I would say believe, achieve, and inspire. I firmly believe in these 3 words, and everyone should. But in general, try to be a better version of yourself every day. I've said this before, but I would like to repeat that because that's how you're going to work harder. That's how you will develop that focus in life. That's how you will identify your passion, and that's how you will be able to chase your dreams. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you for that, Mr. Rajit. Mr. Raghav.
See, a lot of people when they come into St. Xavier, especially the morning batch, they're very busy with their professional studies like CA, CS. I would just recommend that spend time with your friends, make new friends. I mean, when I came in, there were 75, 80 odd people in my class, and in my first year, I barely talked to five of them. By the time I completed my third year, I knew at least 400, 500 new people, and I was quite happy to converse with them. So the only thing I would tell you is enjoy your life in St. Xavier's. This is not going to come back, and especially when you start working, you will really miss college, as I do.
Absolutely. That has been such a privilege for me to be able to moderate such a distinguished panel of such great people, such great Xaverians who testify to the fact that being a Xaverian is it's not just any other institution, and I think everybody needs to know this. Everybody needs to know what they're getting into and understand what the larger picture they're a part of. They're a part of a legacy. They're a part of an attitude which is known as being a Xaverian, and I guess everybody should utilize it to the fullest. Thank you so much. My heartiest thanks to all the 3 panelists that have joined us today and the organizers for letting me do this as well, because this has been one of the greatest honors I've been a part of. Now we have in store something which I would ask everybody to wait for. We have a special video on behalf of the team that will be played, which is an announcement for tomorrow's event. And this might get everybody excited for tomorrow as well, what's in store. So I'd ask all of you to wait for this and bear with us for the next 5 minutes as we play the video. Thank you so much. Over to you, Himanshu.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Himanshu.
Hi, this is Ananya Birla. Thank you so much for having me. Firstly, a big hello to all of you at Xavier's. Congratulations for making it through. I know how tough it is to get into Xavier's, so a big congratulations. I'm sure all of you are going to be super successful. It's a pleasure to be talking to all of you. I know that in this new normal, y'all may be worrying about how you're going to be making new friends, because of course everything is happening online. You can't really go on campus. I would like to say that I've heard from Xavier's that they have some special surprises in store for you all, so please don't worry about that. This new way of learning has its own advantages as well, so please make the most of it. Xavier is an amazing college, and I'm so excited for all of you all to begin this beautiful journey. Being in college is an experience that cannot be really explained. It has to be experienced. It's a experience of a lifetime, and I'm sure all of you are going to really flourish and really enjoy it, make new friends, learn loads about life more than anything else, really I'm sure Xavier is going to make all of you as individuals very holistically prepared to face the real world and to become successful and happy individuals. So I'm very excited for you all, and you all are in the right hands.
That was wonderful to see, you guys. We have Ananya Birla for the show tomorrow. And with that, again, my concluding remarks. Thank you so much, guys, for the opportunity to be here. It's been a phenomenal show. Thank you for the opportunity. Over to Yash for the next segment, guys, as we conclude.
Thank you so much, Jivraj, for perfectly moderating this UConnect today and giving all the batch of 2023 a wonderful experience. Thank you so much, our speakers, Mr. Sagar Daryani, Mr. Rachit Mehta, and Mr. Raghav Beriwal, for joining us in their busy schedule and taking out time and motivating us people. I'm sure this entire session has truly been remarkable, and the batch of 2023, which is doing a virtual batch right now, living in the new normal, surely got a taste of college, and I'm sure they're more than ever eager to get back to campus and try to get the bunking chits from the professors and go to the green benches and actually visualize what living the green benches. I would like to now propose a vote of thanks and formally end this particular session 1 of UConnect. On the very onset, I would like to thank our principal, Reverend Dr. Dominic Savio, for being the guiding light and helping us in whatever we needed. I would also like to thank our vice principals, the vice principals, Reverend Dr. Peter Arokian, Reverend Father Joseph Kolandai, Professor Bertram Da Silva, and I would also like to thank all the faculty members. A very special thank goes to Dr. Pradeep Sen Gupta, who has been the professor in charge. The members of the particular TEDx team know very well the amount of work which Sir has done for all of us. Sir has been the guiding light. I remember the teammates having getting calls from him, asking us if everything is finalized, everything is going in place. Thank you so much, sir, from the entire team for ensuring that the event goes smooth. I would also like to thank each and every member of TEDx Xavier's College Kolkata for actually supporting this endeavor and guiding us in the way we have to do the event. Each and every member has played a very instrumental role in ensuring that today the event is as successful as it was. At the concluding this entire journey UConnect Day 1, I would like to thank all the members for joining us today. I had been noticing the number of participants, and that stayed stagnant, and that is a clear reflection of how students really enjoyed this. So my dear batch of 2023, this is just the beginning. This is day 1 of UConnect. Tomorrow we have greater things in store for you. As you have heard your fellow seniors talk about college experiences and making friends, tomorrow is the day when you'll be formally, informally making friends and interacting with the people of VCOM morning, students of VCOM evening, and living the dream which you wanted to for so long. Thank you so much for joining again. It's been a complete pleasure having all of you here today. Thank you so much. With this, we come to the formal end of the session. Thank you so much everyone joining us today. We're looking forward to hosting you all again tomorrow. Thank you so much.